She stole every guy I ever loved. So I let her have the one who broke me completely. Now she's begging me to take him back. I felt that fragility in my own life because of my sister Diane. From the day she was born, it was like I had a built-in boyfriend thief living under the same roof. I'm not talking about innocent crushes or shared clothes. No, I mean real boyfriends, serious relationships. If I brought a man home to introduce to my family, Diane would somehow have him texting her within days. If I shared a couple photo on Instagram, she'd coincidentally discover him at his favorite coffee shop the next day. Everyone said Diane got our mom's stunning beauty while I inherited dad's smart humor. That comparison cut deep, but I managed always to live with it until the stealing started. Started quietly in high school. My boyfriend Trevor suddenly came over every afternoon to study. Diane would drift in, dressed in her cheerleader uniform, complaining about calculus and asking Trevor to help. Back then, I trusted both of them completely, so I didn't see the manipulation. Not until much later, when I looked back and saw neon signs that had been flashing all along. By the time I reached my early 20s, Diane's tactics had become precise and deliberate. I dated Cameron for 6 months before finally inviting him to a family dinner. Within a week, Diane created a crisis that needed his shoulder at 2 a.m., and they slept together that night. Marcus from my marketing job followed the same script: family dinner, fake drama, then midnight comfort. When I later discovered their steamy texts, Diane tilted her head, smiled sweetly, and said, "I'm just making sure they're worthy of you, Laurel." Marcus failed the test miserably. In my heart I thought, maybe she's right. If a man abandons me for her so easily, he wasn't meant to stay. But that thought didn't heal the betrayal deep inside. Next came Derek, the man who almost broke me. We'd been together 2 years, talking about marriage once I finished nursing school. I planned his birthday party for weeks at Applebee's and kissed him in front of everyone to show how serious I was. Diane got drunk at that party and kissed him right in front of me. Later, when he chose her over me, she posted on Facebook, "Sometimes you fall too hard. Sorry, not sorry." At Thanksgiving, Mom sliced into me with words sharper than any carving knife. "Stop parading men around Diane. Why keep tempting her?" In that moment, I felt crushed. In my mind, I wasn't tempting any man. I was trying to build love. But her charisma broke it all. 3 months later, I went to my college roommate's wedding in Chicago. That's where I met Connor. He was everything I had ever wanted. 6'2", kind, successful as a software engineer, and seemingly immune to manipulation. For 8 months, I kept him a secret from my family. We drove to towns nearby for dates, didn't post photos, told nobody. I thought I finally outsmarted Diane's boyfriend-stealing pattern. For the first time in years, I felt safe. Connor spoke of our future with certainty that gave me hope again. Then my loose-lipped cousin Amanda mentioned Connor to Mom on a phone call. Mom told Diane within hours. Diane's detective skills rivaled the FBI. Within days, she tracked him down using his company website. The betrayal hit me like a freight train when I arrived at his apartment with my key, only to find them tangled in our bed. The pain wasn't the act itself but Diane's reaction. Sitting naked, she said, "Honestly, I did you a huge favor, sis." He barely lasted 10 minutes. "You deserve so much better." Connor didn't even try to hide himself. "Your sister's way too hot for me not to try. You understand, right?" I stood in shock, trembling with rage and humiliation, while Diane kissed him goodbye like I was invisible, just part of the background. That heart-crushing moment showed me everything. She didn't do it because she loved him. She did it because she could, because she enjoyed watching me suffer. As I walked to my car, my hands shaking so bad I could barely hold the keys, I made a choice that changed everything. Diane craved men she couldn't resist. Fine, I would give her exactly that, but wrapped in a package designed to destroy her. Over the next 40-minute drive home, I crafted a plan. Diane always fell for beautiful, charming, successful men who made her feel special. She never questioned their past. That ignorance would be her undoing. I spent weeks researching public records and court filings. That's how I found Vincent Romano, tall, handsome, claimed to be a Denver venture capitalist. His ex-wife filed papers documenting emotional and financial abuse. He had multiple restraining orders from previous girlfriends and was facing securities fraud investigations. Perfect. His LinkedIn looked legit, with a professional photo that could have been for a fashion shoot. But dig deeper and the truth emerged. He was a smooth con artist specializing in manipulating women into financial ruin. I created a fake LinkedIn profile as an investor. I reached out with a fake business proposal and a vulnerable story about Diane's boyfriend-stealing reputation. At Starbucks in downtown Denver, I played the role of the hurt older sister. I showed him Diane's Instagram, saying, "I can't compete with her. Every man I love ends up choosing her. I feel worthless." Vincent's eyes lit up with glee. He saw exactly what he wanted to see. A woman looking to rely on him emotionally, with a beautiful trophy on the side. He called me incredible, reached across the table to hold my hand and said, "Any man who leaves you is an idiot." Hook, line, and sinker. He love-bombed me with fancy dinners, trips, and big promises. But I saw through it. Every compliment was calculated, every gesture designed to make me feel dependent. 3 weeks in, I told him I wanted to keep things private because Diane has a history of stealing my relationships. Then I invited him to my mom's birthday dinner at Olive Garden, knowing exactly what would happen. Vincent assumed he'd win my trust and maybe Diane's. He had no idea he was walking into a trap I had carefully built. At dinner, Vincent ignored Diane completely and showered me with attention. He praised my lasagna choice, laughed at Dad's jokes, and even brought flowers for Mom. Diane couldn't handle being ignored by a man that attractive. She touched his arm, leaned in too close, whispered, "My sister's sweet, but I can show you things she can't imagine." Her flirtation was so obvious that even our unobservant parents noticed. I excused myself, went to the bathroom, and watched her move in for the kill through a crack in the door. When I returned and saw them exchanging numbers, I threw my glass of Merlot at Vincent and stormed out sobbing. Mascara ran down my cheeks. That night, Diane called me with fake concern. "Vincent totally came on to me at dinner, but I promise, you're better off without him." Something about him felt sketchy. 2 days later, she was posting Instagram stories from his luxury condo. 1 week later, she said she'd fallen in love with his lies. Within a month, she moved in and gave him access to her bank accounts. I watched it all unfolding, part satisfaction, part unease. Diane was marching blindly into quicksand. I didn't warn her. 6 weeks later, a lawyer for Vincent's ex-wife contacted Diane over hidden assets in his divorce. Suddenly, Diane faced liability as an accomplice. She called me panicked. Vincent said it was a bitter ex making trouble. I felt a cold satisfaction, the trap was working. Then came the Ponzi scheme reveal. Diane had invested her entire $30,000 savings and lost it all when the SEC shut down Vincent's fake firm. She called me crying, saying it must be a mistake because his lawyers promised interest and refunds. But when she tried to leave his condo, he snapped her wrist and locked her inside while he ranted about ungrateful women. She escaped eventually only to find every account empty and $80,000 in debt taken out in her name. Dawn on a Tuesday morning, FBI agents broke into his condo. They found Diane's signature on fraudulent documents, making her an unwitting accomplice to securities fraud, identity theft, and money laundering. My phone buzzed at 6:47 a.m. Diane's name flashed, but I let it go to voicemail. Her message dripping with panic. "Laurel, please. I'm in jail. They think I'm guilty. I need help." I listened to it 3 times before deleting it. Days later, the local news made her the headline. Local woman arrested in multimillion-dollar fraud scheme. Her mugshot flickered on Channel 7's evening news. Mom called immediately, crying, "You have to help her. She made mistakes but doesn't deserve this." I replied calmly, "She made her choices, same as with Cameron, Marcus, Derek, and Connor." Silence hung heavy between us until Mom whispered, "You knew, didn't you?" I didn't answer. The truth was too complex. I knew Vincent was dangerous. I didn't know exactly how far he would go. but I researched carefully. Diane pled guilty to lesser charges in exchange for testifying against Vincent. She spent 8 months in minimum security prison. She emerged with a felony record, ruined credit, and a restraining order against him. Family dinners stopped. Mom couldn't look at me the same, torn between horror and awed respect. Dad just shook his head, saying natural consequences catch up eventually. Diane moved to Portland, working as a barista, slowly rebuilding her life. We haven't spoken in 2 years, but I occasionally check her Instagram. She looks older, humbled, more cautious. The predatory spark in her eyes has dimmed, replaced with a quiet uncertainty. Sometimes I wonder if I went too far. Was breaking her life the right choice? But then I remember Connor's shrug, Diane's naked smugness in that apartment. I remember watching my happiness crumble for her entertainment. She finally got exactly what she wanted, a man she couldn't resist. But she never expected him to destroy everything she loved. I've been in therapy for a year, trying to sort through mixed emotions. My therapist says revenge rarely brings peace. She's right. I don't feel vindicated. Mostly I feel empty where anger used to live. But I sleep better knowing Diane can't steal another woman's boyfriend ever again. Some lessons only sink in after total ruin. She finally learned hers the hard way. It was a quiet morning. I woke up early, made some tea, and sat near the window. The sun was coming in slowly, and everything felt calm. For the first time in weeks, I didn't cry when I opened my eyes. I didn't check my phone for his name. I just sat there watching people walk on the street, living their lives. That's when I realized I was starting to heal. Not fully, but just a little bit. It didn't hurt as much anymore. I was not waiting for his apology. I was not wondering if he missed me. I was just breathing, and that felt new. Then 3 days later, Diane came back. She knocked on my door like she didn't know if I would open it. I was shocked to see her. She looked so different. Her hair was messy, her eyes were red like she had been crying, and she was wearing that old sweater from college. She didn't say hello. She just stood there with her hands in her pockets and said, "I made a big mistake." I didn't say anything. I just moved aside and let her in. We sat on the couch in silence for a few minutes. Then she looked at me and said, "He's not who I thought he was. He hurt me too. And now I can't stop thinking about what I did to you." I didn't know what to say. Hearing that didn't make me happy. It didn't fix anything. But it did make me feel seen. She finally understood what I went through. I asked her why she came back. She said, "Because I want to fix things. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I miss you. Not him, you." That's when I knew she was telling the truth. She wasn't just sorry because he hurt her. She was sorry because she lost a friend who always stood by her, even when she didn't deserve it. And even though my heart still hurt, I felt something else too. Peace. Because I finally got the one thing I thought I'd never get. Not love, not him, but closure. That night, after Diane left, I sat alone in my room thinking about everything. The love, the betrayal, the pain, the silence. I thought about the girl I was when he first walked into my life. So full of hope, so ready to believe in forever. And then I thought about the girl I became after he left. Broken, quiet, always asking why me? But then I saw who I was now. Someone who had survived. Someone who didn't cry for him anymore. Someone who could look at Diane and feel nothing but peace. That was growth. That was healing. I took my phone, found his number, and deleted it. No more waiting for a text that would never come. No more checking if he viewed my story. No more hoping he missed me. Because even if he did, it doesn't matter now. Love should never leave you empty. Love should never feel like a battle you're fighting alone. He was not my forever. And that's okay. The next morning, I opened my window again. The sun felt a little warmer. The world looked a little brighter. And for the first time in a long time, I smiled. Not because of anyone else, but because I was finally free. I didn't get the love story I wanted. But I got something better. I got myself back. And that's a kind of love too. The truest one.